Oh, hi there. Today I wanted to talk about the ranitidine that I have been taking. It's the generic form of Zantac. It's meant for stomach acid. I picked this up as a prescription, and I didn't pay for it. Native Affairs paid for it, so that was an advantage for me for some time. But it was also a disadvantage. Um, as you've seen from my earlier videos about big pharma, I don't particularly like them at all. And I've discovered a few vulnerabilities that they have. And I've made this public. I don't have a problem explaining my theory to anybody. Um, I've stopped taking the ranitidine. Not because I don't think it's a good medication, because if you have stomach acid problems, it can be very helpful. So long as you don't overdo it, because then that just builds a dependency on the medication, and then as soon as you stop taking ranitidine, you get bad heartburn. That was the same thing with the Tecta, and why I thought taking Tecta was not a good thing overall. It is and it isn't. Just if you don't have heartburn, don't take Tecta. But I was a unique case because I was being prescribed Tecta and ranitidine for a problem I did not have because I thought I had a sore throat because of acid reflux because of alcohol. But the truth was, I was on a antipsychotic called Clopixel. I don't really know what that is, but that is the cause of my sore throat, and didn't have anything to do with stomach acid. I mean, obviously stomach acid would make it worse, but that wasn't the problem. And the reason the Clopixel was causing me a sore throat was intentional, because they wanted me to stop drinking. There were various factors in the decision to allow this to happen and not treat the sore throat. Partially because they had the opportunity, the funding on my part was there, as far as Native Affairs covering any prescriptions, and various other social factors. So the fact that I was an involuntary patient, they didn't have to inform me, and they don't have to explain themselves, and they won't. They'll say as little as possible, and I will never get a concrete answer out of any of them. But that's okay. I don't need them to talk. They wanted me to stop drinking, which would sound reasonable. They didn't ask me. The thing is, I waited until an expensive medication came along, and then I took just enough of it to make sure they couldn't return it and cause them a headache in that sense. The problem is they still want me to take that medication. Legally, they can't force me to, but this is however unlikely, but it is a possibility that they're splicing the ranitidine with other stuff like antipsychotic medication, things like that. I mean, from what I remember, the ranitidines always look the same, but I don't work in the medical field. I can't tell one thing from the other, okay? A pharmacist could do that. Pharmacists don't make the medication, but they're just distributors. They sell it to people. But Big Pharma, who does make the medication, gives it to them, or sells it to them, whatever, and they sell it to the patient. So they are fully capable, if you just climb the ladder, to start tinkering around with specific cases of exemplary individuals who they want to make an example out of. I found a way how to be a giant prick to Big Pharma. And Big Pharma's not somebody who takes somebody who can be a prick to them very lightly. They most certainly have noticed, because they're a very paranoid organization. If they have a single vulnerability, and somebody knows that, and has no reason at all to be amicable with them, then they got a problem, and they're going to use every dirty, underhanded trick they can. They will prey on the person's ignorance. That's what these doctors and specialists do. They can't have an honest debate with you on any level, and they figure it's just easier to explain nothing, do nothing. That's an advantage for them in that sense, but it's also a disadvantage, because should I run into anyone with a similar problem that I have, who's that person going to believe? Are they going to believe the doctor who says nothing, does nothing, your condition never changes? Or are they going to believe me, who's saying, this is the way how it really is, this is what your problem is, and this is why the doctor's acting that way, this is why the pharmacist is acting that way? They will never explain themselves. Now, I said it was unlikely that they're mixing antipsychotics with my ranitidine, but it is possible, very possible. And I'm unaware of how big a prick I am. I know I'm a little bit of a prick, at least, but I don't know how big. And if I'm a big enough one, then they'll make an example out of me, and they'll just deny it. They will never own up to the fact that they've done anything to the public. And that's the thing about pharmaceuticals. It is an advantage to be a pharmacist, although, however, a boring job it is, in the sense that you know the pros and cons of medicines before the public does. And you know everything wrong with the medication before anybody else does. So, you may have your personal opinion that you think the risks outweigh the benefits. So you won't take medications that you will distribute to the patients. Pharmacists don't like to look at it that way. Because don't get me wrong, pharmaceuticals have really, really helped people with certain conditions or treat certain problems or whatever. And overall, they can be a good thing. But also learning how to make these medications, how to make them better, how to make new ones, it comes with a price. And the price is they need human test subjects. And so you being the typical commoner schmuck, you're the one who's going to take the abuse, like I did, from these medications. It's not going to be them. They're the ones hiding behind the desk, getting paid big wages, and they're lying right to your face. I don't know about you, but I was a test patient for a number of years. Very, very angry about that. I don't like it at all. I mean, some people would flip their lid and, get all angry and whatever. But not me. I ain't gonna do that. I just enjoy being a prick. Prick, 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 prick. There are other ways to get a little bit of payback. A little bit of a headache for them. Perfectly legal ways. I'm entitled to my opinion. It's free speech and all this. And people are willing to listen to me. Give me the time to explain myself. I can explain why certain things are bad that they tell you is good, and they'll keep saying it is. Even if it's not, they'll just lie to you. I can explain why they do that, and when they see it for themselves, they'll believe me and not those professionals. Um, yeah, there aren't that many people like me on social media. I try to come up with new topics for mainstream society. It's not that my ideas haven't been thought up of, or people haven't had conversations of this sort of type, but it's climbing the ladder. Like I said, your everyday schmuck doesn't have these kinds of conversations. Most people are oblivious to it because they have not gone through this certain problem. And I spoke to few people about my sore throat, and they almost just didn't believe me. Like, my voice sounds fine. They spoke of examples where people had really puffy necks, and as you can see, mine is not puffy, or not that puffy. I mean, it feels kind of that way. But supposing the medication they prescribed me to be aversion therapy to stop me from drinking was designed to be that way, so that nobody would believe my story that I have a sore throat. Because particularly in the workplace, if you're not a hard worker, they immediately assume, if you're trying to say, I got a sore throat, it's hard for me to work, they assume you're a slacker and you just don't want to work, and they don't want to believe you. And I go, is that really my situation? Am I so low down on the food chain I have to argue about small, insignificant bullshit? No. I like to think of myself as a little bit more important than that. I got some decisions I could make, and I got some things to talk about too. All in all, I don't think they're putting anything different in my ranitidine. In fact, I don't even remember if I picked it up before or after I'd stopped taking the Invega. But it is entirely possible that they made me a special one, especially for me. And they preyed upon my not wanting to pay for it and letting Native Affairs paying for it, and they just figured I would never question it, never think twice about it. And so you can pick Zantac up with ranitidine on the counter, and that one will just be ranitidine or Zantac. They're not going to do anything special with that. But the ranitidine I picked up was specially for me. So the fact that I have most certainly been a prick to Big Pharma, completely possible that they've put some extra stuff in there. I wouldn't know it, wouldn't taste it, wouldn't see it. I couldn't tell you what that stuff looks like. I have not had the training about it. You can't Google or YouTube that sort of stuff. No pharmacist will tell you about it. Nobody will tell you about it. And given my history of mental health and everything like that, if I went to become a pharmacist, no way. It wouldn't happen. I could not become a pharmacist. I wouldn't want to be, because I think they're scum, but I'm just saying. Really screwed up situation. And they think that the common folk are never going to be smart enough to figure them out. Well, I got news for you. You're wrong. We are going to figure out what you get up to. Because I got some theories, man. The sore throat thing with me? A deterrent from drinking alcohol? What if it goes up into the more higher parts of the government? What if there are agencies and public officials and things like that who want to push this medication on people, where they add it to the alcohol, or this tobacco, or whatever. But primarily alcohol, because they want people to get superficially sick long before there's actually any real harm to the esophageal region. B, they don't want people excessively drinking. C, they want a negative impression of alcohol on mainstream society. And, a whole bunch of other things. There most certainly are sectors of the government that are like that. Maybe they have a preconceived bias. Maybe they've seen all the horrible things that can come with alcohol. And all they want to do is snuff out our fund. Because most people are responsible drinkers. They only drink occasionally, they don't drink too much, they don't drink and drive. I don't drink and drive. I don't even have a license. Don't even have a car. I'm not a violent drunk. As I probably said in a more previous video, maybe even 6 months, a year ago, I can't remember. I'm more just slobbery idiot who falls asleep. That's about it. Pretty harmless. But some people don't look at it that way. Some people hate alcohol so much that they just want to do whatever they can to get rid of it. And I know there's a lot of people who ain't gonna like that. Someone accused me of being having cognitive dissonance. I do not have that. I have talked about various things in this video, but they're all connected. And the major point I wanted to get across was that I'm going to stop taking the ranitidine because the possibility of it being tinkered with is very real. And I just am in a position where I do not trust the pharmacy. I don't trust my doctors, and I most certainly don't trust Big Pharma. And I don't think anybody should. They can prey upon anybody at any given time. Don't have to explain themselves. Don't have to acknowledge anything. Don't have to do anything. It's a faceless entity, hidden by lies, secrets, and shadow. Want to believe me? Don't want to believe me? That's your choice. I'm making a video today to express my concerns. Ranitidine is just an acid reducer. Therefore, it is my decision whether I want to take it or not. That's the theory I have on why I don't want to take it, is because I believe it could be tinkered with. And also, I should probably, get off the antacid things anyway, because I don't want to become dependent on them. I don't want to have to take this stuff the rest of my life. That's what happens with all medications, is that you become dependent on it. You have to keep taking it. Because if you don't, whatever problem you had to treat with just gets a lot worse. And I didn't have acid reflux before. I really believed I did. I made videos about it. And I learned everything I possibly could. But it's not because I was stupid. It was because I had limited intelligence. Deliberately. People inhibited my ability to learn through mechanisms. When you think about it, really all it is just a few grunts, growls, and walking away from the conversation. That's all it was. They didn't outsmart me, they were just being cunts. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna whip this up on my YouTube channel, Iron Drag. Gotta reconnect my internet because I've disconnected that while I make my videos now. And I have my smartphone in the other room of the refrigerator. So those are some of the steps I've taken, just in case. Because these people, you really can't trust them. And that's not paranoia. It's them being cunts. Anyway, if you like the video, hit subscribe. Don't have to. Go away if you want to. Or watch more of my videos. I don't care which. Anyway, good day.